I'm making this video in the time of the corona crisis. I've heard it referred to as other things like COVID-19, lockdown, that kind of stuff. But here in the Netherlands, we call it the corona crisis. And I wanted to make a video about 5 tips to help you be a little bit more productive in tough times. Welcome back to Pencils and Stories. My name is Henrike and I make and teach comics. If you want to make your own comics as well, then this is a channel for you. I recommend subscribing for weekly videos. So most of us are stuck at home and some of us are more busy than they've ever been. Whatever your situation is, it's all valid and we all experience the same thing. We have anxiety about our health. We have anxiety about the health of our loved ones. Some of us, like myself, cannot work right now, and I'm a freelancer, so that means that no money is coming in. I'm fortunate to live in a country where I have some financial support. It's not much, but I still feel fortunate that I can get at least some money. But as of right now, it's uncertain. And like a lot of things are uncertain, and that creates, for a lot of people, it creates anxiety. And if I know anything about creativity, is that anxiety and worry and stuff like that, it really puts a damper on your creativity because your brain is occupied by a lot of things and you might not even consciously do it. For me, like, I was very anxious in the first few weeks, and now it's not normal, but it's better to handle for myself. On top of normal anxiety, I also have mental health issues sometimes. If you're in the same situation, I've heard from a lot of people who suffer from mental health issues that this is a typical situation where that will just come up or get worse or whatever. That's super normal. For now, we're in this situation, and it's so normal for your creativity to suffer. There's a lot of narratives out there going, this is your chance. And for me, it just put more pressure on myself. I've heard from a few people online actually that were like, now is my chance to make a comic. And if there's anything that can be an overwhelming process, it is a comic. Doesn't have to be, but for a lot of people it is. I've had a tough time, and from what I can tell on social media, a lot of you have too. So here are my tips. Tip number 1, start off with small steps that lead to small wins. It can be more motivating to finish a few things that have been lying around that you already started and that are easy to finish. It makes you feel productive and it makes you feel like you're getting things done. Examples can be just cleaning your room. I don't mean do a whole Marie Kondo thing where you like clean out your entire house. Just clean it up. Just make it neat and then clean it up a little. And then at least your house feels a little bit more in order. This is a space where you spend a lot of time probably, or you come home from a long day and you just want to be in a little bit quiet space. So cleaning your house might be a good thing. You could also finish that one drawing that's been lying around and that doesn't require a lot of think work anymore, or that one panel of your comic page, or that one page even. Finish that part of your script, that kind of stuff. A small task that you never had the time for, but you now actually can finish in a few hours or just 1 hour in a day. And just look at your to-do list of stuff that I know most people have a to-do list of stuff that they never get done. If there's little things on there that take only 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, just take, I don't know, 1 day and just knock out as many of those things as you can, so at least you can get that feeling of accomplishment. Tip number 2 is something that really helps with overwhelm in general. Not right now, but I use this a lot because sometimes our overwhelm comes from all these little thoughts that we have during the day, and they all stack. Like unconsciously, they all stack on top of each other until you really feel overwhelmed. And then you're like, I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know what's going on. It's usually a very vague, nebulous thing in your brain that just overwhelms you. And a brain dump can really shine some light on it. You can write your thoughts out loud, or just all the stuff that you feel like you need to be doing or that you want to be doing and stuff. And I want to talk specifically about that second part. So it really helps me to do it on paper because I can just dump it all down and put arrows everywhere and stuff. But you can do this digitally as well. Just make a digital list of that stuff. I'm just going like everything that's in my brain, just dump it on paper. So you can see here, there's some examples like very simple menial tasks like bring the trash down. The bigger stuff like the filling in a form for financial support, I already did that, but that is something that, you know, is urgent, and it can be really in the top of your mind right now. So write it all down. And then all the stuff related to your creative projects, like for example, I have Recollection City. That's what RC means. Again, menial tasks like laundry. This is not something that, you know, it's just dumping it. So it doesn't matter if it's big or small, just write it down. And just go until you have exhausted like most of the stuff that's on your brain. And just writing it down means that you're not forgetting it. So you can kind of analyze it in a better way. You won't forget it. It's not something that you need to remember because it is on paper. It gives you a really great oversight of all the stuff that's floating around in your brain. There's a few methods to actually go through this list because you can only, at any point in time, you can only do one action. So there's one method that's just pick one thing from this list that you're gonna do right now. And then you after that, you're gonna pick another one. Or there's a method 2 that's actually more based on filtering your tasks and you know, deciding in what order to do them. And that's method number 2. Filter on urgency and importance. If a task is not important and not urgent, you can just scrap it from your list. So it might have popped up in your brain, but what you're doing is you're just filtering it, like, do I need to do it at all? So you can see me using method 1, like, what's the most important thing I need to do right now? That would obviously, if I hadn't done that before, it would obviously be to send in the form for financial support, because that's actually really important and urgent. Method number 2, I will just put a U or an I in front of every action. So it's urgent or it's important. Sometimes things are both. In this list, I didn't really have both, so I just go through this list and see if it's urgent or important. You can see I put a cross there, do project X because it's not really urgent, but it was also really important to me. Like, for example, Recollection City would be an important project, but if that's just a project that you're like, it's just fun, but not super important, then I would put an X there. And because I have actual creative projects that are important to me, that would have priority. For example, Recollection City is an important thing to me. So I saw that I had 4 tasks that were urgent, and I also noticed that these were tasks that didn't take a lot of time. These are usually, that's usually the case with urgent things. They don't take forever to do. And in this case, like, some even took like 5 minutes or 15 minutes. They were still bothering me though. That's why I wrote them down in the brain dump. In total, it was like 1 hour and 20 minutes of work. So on any day, I could just knock that out real fast, or even first thing in the morning. So you can choose to actually do the urgent stuff first. Or you can do what I wrote down here. Do the smallest task first. You can divide them on time. You can divide them in urgency. You can divide them on priority. There's a lot of ways to filter tasks. So the smaller tasks, you can do first, so you can shorten the list, or you can do the most important task first, pick the most important one. If that's a long thing, like for example, finishing a comic page can take a long time. So if there's a task on there, like I want to finish this comic page, it's gonna take me 10 hours, then you can say, for example, I'm gonna work on this page 2 hours today. And then for the next 5 days, I'm going to work on this page for 2 hours a day. And at the end of the week, the page is going to be finished. So that is one way that you can do this. And then you can see me crossing out project X because it's not important and not urgent. So the brain dump is really good to also decide what not to do. Some people actually make a not to do list. I've done that sometimes too when I had too many project ideas. I get ideas all the time for stuff. And sometimes I just have to tell myself, no, you're not going to do this. So I make a list and then I cross out the stuff that I'm not going to do. Tip number 3, have some small routines in your life so you can normalize things a little bit. What I mean by this is that everything is kind of weird right now. For some people, not much changes. So if you have certain routines that work for you, then by all means, go do them. But for somebody like me who has routines that are very based on stuff outside, outside of my house, this is a tough time because I don't normally work very well at home. This is a problem that I've noticed with myself for the last 10 years. I'm not a good at-home worker. But what has been working for me is just building in some routines. There's some routines that I want to build in and have not been able to yet. For example, I would ideally like to do 1 hour of writing first thing in the morning. Like have breakfast, do an hour of writing, and then writing social media posts, writing script for my comic, writing scripts for my videos, that kind of stuff. But I have not been successful in that yet. But I have some routines of like, I always dress myself. Like I get up, the first thing I do is dress up because I don't want to walk around in my pajamas because that will disrupt my normal routines even more, and I would have the idea of having a holiday and stuff. So I do make a point of, actual wearing clothes that I would wear on any day if I had to go out. You can even choose to wear makeup or choose to wear jewelry. Like there's a certain time of day where I'm like, nope, I'm gonna stop working now and I'm gonna cook. I put up some podcasts and stuff. So that's just a really relaxing time for me. And then it really splits the workday and the evening where I do more relaxing stuff or talk with friends and that sort of thing. It cuts it more in half, so I have a more dedicated space where I need to be working. I know that some people have a routine of like taking a walk in the morning, taking a walk in the evening. They work until a certain time and then they go out and take a walk. And then you create that time pressure of like 3 o'clock, my alarm on my phone is going off. I'm going to go outside now. And when I come back, I'm going to start cooking and stuff. So it creates that time pressure. I know that a lot of people thrive on having a limited time to work. I know of some people who actually decided, even though they were self-employed, they decided I'm going to work for 20 hours a week and not more. So that means that if they want to work 5 days a week, they have 4 hours every day, not 8, but 4 hours every day. And in those 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, they need to do everything for the business. And that helps them become really focused and really productive. So that's something you could try. Or you can just build in some artwork and do 1 hour every day, do one doodle, and just decide to not share it on social media, for example, but just do a doodle for yourself 1 hour a day in any medium or some new medium that you want to try out. But again, keep that limitation of like, I'm going to work for an hour and then I'm going to stop. Because sometimes it is the big amount of time that we now have that overwhelms us. I know it's really weird, but that's what I feel like as well. And that's actually called Parkinson's law, which is a thing where the more time you have, the more time it will take for you to do a task. The amount of work will always expand to the amount of time that you're given it. You see this often when you have to finish presentations or documents. A lot of people will do them last minute because then they will suddenly have this time crush and you can do it in a few hours only. But you were like, I had 2 weeks. And it's like, yeah, but because you have 2 weeks, it's going to take you 2 weeks to do it. Whereas when you have a few hours, you're going to do it in those few hours. So that's this weird thing where like limiting your time and making it smaller really helps. Tip number 4, self-care is extra important in this time. Even though it might feel like for some of us, our lives have become easier, that's a weird paradox thing. This time is weird. This time is not normal. This is not a holiday. I wish it was a holiday, but it isn't. A lot of us feel extra anxiety, like I mentioned in the beginning, all that stuff. So self-care right now is extra important. And what that looks like is different for everybody. Like if it's journaling, if it's meditating, praying, taking long walks, extra long showers, cooking good food, talking about it with friends, just cleaning out your house can be very, very soothing. I've noticed that when I had a very tough time last year, and I've noticed that in that time, I just found so much rest in doing small little tasks around my house. Like I painted the bathroom, and that really, really helped me at that time. And it might be something that you find some comfort in and some joy in as well. Take entire days off to relax and just read a good book. Days where you don't feel the pressure, when you're not allowed to work, so you can't take time off of the pressure of having to do stuff right now. What I found most important for my mental health was limiting news. You can mute certain words on Twitter, for example. It's very easy to unfollow people. I check the news, like the news website, once a day. I already checked it today. I cannot check it again this evening. I just can't. Because at first I was like constantly watching the news and seeing what other countries are doing, and you had all the alarming stuff coming out of Italy, and my own government was like constantly bringing out more news, and I noticed that I was drawn to those news sites. So I just told myself, like, once a day, that's it. And that really, it helped me so much, because now I can have time. I can have a time where I'm like just being in my own bubble a little bit and just focus on the stuff that I want to be doing, like focusing on creative things. And then, once a day I check the news, and afterwards maybe just watch a 20-minute episode of something on Netflix. Like I said, it might feel like your life is easy right now, but self-care right now is most important. More important than ever. So try and make it a priority. Then tip number 5, if you want to, you can go for a few days and keep a list of all your pitfalls. So all the stuff where you're starting to procrastinate. So you can maybe find some patterns, or it's easier if you see it on paper, it's easier to figure out a solution for that. For example, one of my biggest pitfalls is watching something relaxing in the morning. It's really dumb, but whenever I watch something on Netflix or YouTube or whatever, I start watching videos, I get stuck. Especially in the morning, because my anxiety is highest in the morning. I often wake up anxious. I often wake up slightly stressed. I don't know what that is. My brain just resets in the night. I can go to bed super relaxed. I'm usually very relaxed in the evening, but then I wake up and I'm like, ooh. Whenever I watch Netflix or something on YouTube, that kind of numbs it. So it can be really easy for me to get stuck watching that, because I know that I haven't dealt with my anxiety and I know that it's still there. But usually whenever I do something productive in the morning, it usually subsides around an hour of 10 or 11. It usually is has calmed down a little bit, and I can just normally do stuff. I had a habit of right now just making some breakfast, and then during breakfast watching something. And that is not helpful. Another thing is the telephone, like my phone. Whenever I start to work, I put my phone in the other room, because it's very easy to go on social media. Disturbances come on your phone, you get messages, you get phone calls, emails. So just I put my phone in the other room, and that really helps. It's super simple, but it does. And then try and figure out solutions and try out different things. Oftentimes productivity is a process. It is a process of getting to know yourself and figuring all this stuff out. And again, I don't want to add to the entire idea of like, here is all of this free info and this is your opportunity and stuff. But I actually do have a course on Gumroad about productivity. It's normally a $47 mini course, but I actually made it $4 right now during the course of this pandemic, because I want to help people be more productive. And it actually helps you choose a project if that's something that you find very hard to do because you have all these ideas. It helps you choose a project. It helps you figure out what the milestones for that project are, what are the goals that you need to hit in order to actually finish the project, then make an action plan, figuring out what the next actionable thing is that you can do, coming up with a list of pitfalls and solutions for that, and then evaluating your process so you can make it better. That mini course, the link is in the description below, and I hope it is something that's helpful to you. If you feel like this entire thing I just mentioned is already overwhelming to you, don't buy it. I'm totally fine with that. If you do want some extra inspiration about comics, something a little smaller, I do have an email list where I send weekly inspiration and keep you up to date about new videos. And you can go to pencilsandstories.com/extra if you want it. You will get a PDF about some quick comic tips that you can implement pretty fast to improve your comic. Links in the description below. Again, there's also free resources on my website, so check it out. And that was it for this video of this week. I want to thank you so much for watching. I want to wish you a good time. Stay safe. I wish you health. I wish your loved ones health. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch my videos. It means a ton to me. I'm nearing 300 subscribers as I record this, and that's so great to me. And I just hope that if you have that passion and drive to make comics, that these videos are helpful to you. This video is a little bit different. It's not too practical about comics, but I felt like doing a video about this because I see it so much online right now, and it applies to comics, it applies to art in general, anything you want to do. So thank you again of all the stuff you could be watching right now. You're watching my video. For now, have a great day and go and make some comics.